how many Bitcoins are in existence? How many will be, in the end, how many will exist? And why does that ultimately not really matter? Because we're really talking about the whole market capitalization, and since it's divisible infinitesimally or not, can you just explain that whole concept, or even if I'm getting it right?
Yeah. So Bitcoin is designed to simulate precious metals. And the only reason that is relevant is that from an economic perspective, it produces an effect called scarcity, which means that the token itself is rare. Now, this is a contradiction in terms. A digital token, which is infinitely copyable, cannot be rare. Bitcoin is the only digital token, the first digital token that was able to be rare. And that was a huge achievement, and that's essentially the Nakamoto invention. But in order to make sure that that scarcity was guaranteed by the system, there are a set of rules built into the Bitcoin mechanism that regulate how often Bitcoin is created and at what rate it is created. And there's less Bitcoin created all the time. So it started off at 50 Bitcoin every 10 minutes back in 2009. Then it went to 25 Bitcoin in 2012. In 2016, it's going to drop to 12.5 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. And then it continues to divide by 2 every...
Investment Club. Today, I consider it the best investment that I've ever made. We get 4 projects presented a week by their associated CEOs. Personally, I'm completely blown away by the quality of these projects, and I know of nowhere else where I would be given this same opportunity. Each week that passes, I feel more appreciative of the fact that I'm a member of this group. The vibe was just tremendous. Everybody's on the same wavelength. We just clicked. Everybody listened to each other, enjoyed their company. It was just magical, magical. Take action. Don't take my word for it. Due diligence you need to do. And I really hope that someday down the road I see you in the club. It far exceeded expectations, without question.
Every 4 years until it peters out and stops. And then whatever amount of Bitcoin has been created, that's all the Bitcoin that's ever going to exist. Now, this is very similar to how gold works. If you were part of the California gold rush, you could trip over a boulder and find a nugget of gold like this. Today, in order to extract gold, you have to strip mine 100,000 tons of rubble to get an ounce, right? And so that's how the extraction or the process of diminishing returns has happened in physical metals. And we don't know how much gold there is in the world, but what we do know is that it is a finite quantity and that we have already extracted 98% of it. That we know.
Right.
Because we can watch the returns, and if you draw the line, it meets the bottom at some point.
Right. And there are Bitcoin miners that put entire server networks and data centers in order to produce those Bitcoins, and those
But they can't change the rate of issuance.
Right. Okay.
That is fixed by the network.
Okay.
All they can do is compete for that small share of Bitcoins that come out against everybody else by increasing their contribution. And what they're doing is they're securing the network. Right. So they compete to make the network more secure, and the group that's producing the most security for the network gets the biggest percentage of the share of Bitcoin that exists.
And that's how they get paid.
And that's how they get paid.
And that's the fascinating invention of this, that it really is the fascinating invention of Bitcoin and the blockchain.
Well, the real invention is the ability to agree on what the state of the ledger is worldwide.
Okay.
Mining is the way you secure that agreement, and the reward is the way you make sure mining happens. People often see this the wrong way around. They assume that the purpose of mining is to create Bitcoin. And the purpose of mining is not to create Bitcoin. The purpose of mining is to secure the process of consensus to agree what's on the ledger. The creation of new Bitcoin is just a way to reward miners so that you can make sure that the security happens, so that you can make sure that you have agreement on the ledger, so that you can make sure you have secure transactions.
Okay.
So these other things are secondary effects. Approximately 14 million Bitcoin have already been mined. There will only ever be just short of 21 million, so 20.999999997 million Bitcoin will only ever exist. However, the unit itself is pretty arbitrary. Why 21 million? Why 1 Bitcoin? Why 25 every 10 minutes? It doesn't really matter. You can subdivide these to 8 decimal points. So each Bitcoin has 100 million smaller units called Satoshis. You can describe Bitcoins in thousands of a Bitcoin, hundreds of thousands, millions of a Bitcoin, or down to hundreds of millions of a Bitcoin, which is a Satoshi.
What the London Real Investment Club actually does for you, it gives you the keys to open that door to the inside deals. In the last 3 weeks, I've participated in 3 incredible deals: a layer 2 Bitcoin protocol, an incredible AI protocol. The deal flow is beyond what I expected. I don't think I've ever seen a model like this that just gives average folks the opportunity to be behind the deals, and that's exactly what we've done. Not only that, you get to hang out with Brian Rose every week. And for me, that was huge because I look at Brian as somebody who's not only an expert in the space, and I think is on the leading edge, but just the leading edge of thought with London Real and the work he's doing there. To anyone who's taking a serious look at this, I know it's a big decision. It was a big decision for me and my family, and it is one of the best decisions I've ever made. So I wish you all the best and hope you come join us.